And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to call on stage the chief guest of this evening, Vice Admiral A.K. Chawla, to please say a few words. Sir, can you kindly consent, please? Thank you.
Mr. Bhandarkar, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed an honor for me to be here to present the awards at this very unique ceremony, if I can put it that way. I think the audience today consists of the cognoscenti and the navratnas of the Indian maritime industry and the Indian maritime sector as a whole. And I think it's really a gathering which is aware of the importance of maritime issues, of the critical importance of the seas for the prosperity of this country. And so I don't think there's a need to reiterate that point. I would just like to mention that we very often overlook the fact, all of us, that we are the only country to have an ocean named after it. I think it's an enormous privilege and something that we have to live up to each day because it's not easy to retain such an honor, and it is something that we indeed take for granted, but which has been earned through the labor, through the ingenuity, through the hard work of many generations of Indians over many thousands of years. And I think this central fact should not be forgotten, and we need to spread this awareness of the importance that we have an ocean named after us to the younger generation. There is also the equally important job today of synergizing the entire maritime sector in India, which starts off from the very basic rudimentary fishing boats to the modern merchant ships and the very expensive and extensive maritime infrastructure that we have in this country, which is indeed receiving a lot of fillip in recent days, to, of course, the requirement of maritime security, where the Indian Navy comes in. I think this entire thing is an integration where one cannot do without the other. And the importance of having a synergistic and holistic approach to the entire maritime sector is something that we often lose sight of because we all go into our own little silos and think that the entire maritime world consists of that. But there is much more in this country that we need to do to come together. And I think events such as these really provide some of that impetus for the entire community, maritime community in the country to come together and debate, recognize the people who have done excellent work as we are going to do today evening, and also exchange ideas and views on how to move this entire thing forward. The concept of the Jal Durg today is indeed very interesting, and we have some of the most fascinating forts across the world in India. Unfortunately, I think most people, all of us here may be aware, but most Indians are not aware of the kind of forts, the maritime architecture that's available. It's also possibly our own fault that we don't have the accessibility and the infrastructure to see them, but I think we need to move in this direction. And I think events such as this will ensure, because the most important thing is not for cognoscenti like us, but for the common people to get involved in the seas. It is then this country will become truly a great maritime nation, as it deserves to be, and as it was many years ago in the past. I must compliment the dancers who gave this very unique performance today. Having done many years in the Navy and studied maritime warfare, this was one thing which I had never seen, and I must compliment them for a very unique idea and in the end, I would just like to compliment the Bhandarkar events once again for organizing such an event. I think it's indeed wonderful to get people from all sectors together to talk. And as I mentioned earlier, it really is one event which synergizes. I'm sure that many more events like these will be held, and that we will all come together in one way or the other to ensure that the country moves forward in the maritime sector, because that is something that is indeed vital for the growth and prosperity of each Indian. And I think we owe it to them to move this process forward. So once again, thank you very much. Jai Hind.